Good evening, all. So, in the last session, we completed our discussion related to GitHub, and I have given one assignment also on the GitHub. Okay, fine. So, today we are going to start with a concept called what is environment and how many environments will be available for our application. What is the environment and how many environments will be available for our application that we are going to discuss in the today's session. Okay. Application environments. Application environments. Environment means the platform which is used to run the application. Environment means the platform which is used to run our application. In real time, we will have multiple environments to run our application. In real time, we will use multiple environments to run our application. What are the environments will be available in the real time? We can see dev environment, we can see sit environment, we can see sit environment, okay, and we will see UAT environment, we will see UAT environment, we will see pilot environment, and we will see prod environment. We will see prod environment. So when you go for a real-time project, one application will have multiple environments. What is the meaning of environment? Environment means a platform which is used to run our application. Environment means the platform which is used to run our application. In real time, we will use multiple environments to run our application. Dev environment will be available, sit environment will be available, UAT environment will be available, pilot environment will be available, and prod environment will be available. Developers will use dev environment for integration testing. What is the purpose of dev environment? Who will use this? Developers will use dev environment for integration testing. All the developers are writing the code. Now, guys, here in a project, multiple developers will be involved to write the code. It's not about only one developer or two developers. Team of developers are going to work on the project development. Every developer will develop some functionality in the project. So multiple developers will be involving in the project development to complete. So whenever developer writes the code, the developer will perform unit testing. That means whatever the code is implemented by the developer, that code will be tested in the developer system. Whatever the code implemented by the developer, that code will be tested in the developer system. So the code which is tested in the developer system, the process of testing the code in the developer system is called as unit testing. Every developer will have a computer to write the code. Whatever the code they have developed, they will test it. That is called as unit testing. Once the code is tested, then developers are going to push the code to Git repository. Developers will be pushing the code to Git repository. In the Git repository, we are having branches. We will maintain main branch, or we can say it is a master branch. We will maintain a develop branch. We will maintain a future branch. We will maintain a sit branch. We will maintain a UAT branch, and we will maintain a release branch. Like this, in our repository, multiple branches will be available. Multiple branches will be available. We already discussed what is the purpose of the branches in the GitHub. To do the parallel development in the project, multiple branches will be available. Some developers will be working on the enhancements. Some people will be working on the change requests. Some people will be working on the bug fixes. In order to do that, we are going to create branches in the repository. One branch is nothing but one code base. One branch is nothing but one code base. Okay. One branch is nothing but one code base. Okay. Good. Good, guys. Now, here, when multiple developers are working, all these developers are going to connect with the same repository. All the developers will be connecting to the same repository to push their code. So whatever the coding that they are doing, whatever the code that they have implemented in their local laptop, that code they are going to push into Git repository. When the developers are pushing the code to Git repository, that code is getting integrated in the repository. So developer is writing the code here. He will test the code which is implemented in his system. The code which is working in his system may not work when the code is pushed to repository, because in his system only his code is available. Developer one code is available. Developer one developed some code, tested in his system, it is working. Developer two implemented some code, tested in his system, it is working. Developer three implemented some code, tested in the system, it is working. Now all these three developers are committing that code and pushing the code into repository. Pushing that code into repository. When the code is pushed to repository, code is integrated. Can you guarantee that all the code will work as expected once the code is integrated? Once the code is integrated, all the developers code will be integrated. When the code is integrated, do you think that the code will be working as expected? May work or may not work. Okay. When the developer coding is completed, developer pushing the code to the repository, can we directly take the code and release to the client? Can we directly release the project to the client? Why we don't release the project? Why we don't deliver the project to the client once the development is completed? Is it recommended to deliver the project to the client immediately when the developers pushed the code to repository? There are three developers available in the project. Three developers are writing the code for our project. They have implemented the code. They pushed the code to repository. Once the code is pushed to repository, can we directly deliver that code to the client? Can we directly deliver that code to the client, guys? No. Here, developer 1 committed the code, developer 2 committed the code, developer 3 committed that code. Is that code is working as expected or not? First, developers has to check it. So that is the reason what we will do is we will prepare one environment only for the developers. We will prepare one environment only for the developers. That is called as dev environment. That means whatever the code is done by the developers, that code will be deployed to dev environment where developers only will test it. The code which is done by the developers working as expected or not. In his local system, he implemented some code and he tested that code. It is working in the local system. Now see here, let's go to our website. One developer implemented login functionality of our project. Another developer implemented registration functionality in our project. Another developer implemented forgot password functionality in our project. So three developers implemented three different functionalities. So this developer implemented login functionality, guys. This developer implemented registration functionality. This developer implemented forgot password functionality. So in his local system, they have tested that functionality. It is working as expected in the local system because first developer implemented First developer implemented login functionality, second developer implemented registration functionality, third developer implemented forgot password. Now they have tested in the local system, the code is working as expected. Now all the three developers committed the code into repository. Once the code is committed to repository, now we need to check all the functionalities are working after the code pushed to repository. They have tested their individual functionality in their local system. Now the code is pushed to repository. When the code is pushed to repository, is that code is working? All the functionalities, login functionality, registration functionality, forgot password functionality, is that functionality working as expected or not? They have to test it. Developers are responsible to do that testing, that is called as developers integration testing. Where the developer integration testing will happen, for the developers we will prepare one environment which is called as dev environment. That means whatever the code done by all the developers, first that code will be deployed to dev environment. What is the meaning of dev environment? Environment means the platform which is used to run our application. In the real time, are we going to use only one environment or we are going to use multiple environments? In the real time, multiple environments will be available. The first environment is dev environment. Once the developers have completed the coding, that code will be pushed to repository, then that code will be deployed to dev environment. Okay. Now developers are going to test their code is working in the dev environment or not. Once the developer testing is completed, can we deliver the project to the client? Once the dev environment testing is completed, once the developers tested their code is working, can we deliver the project to the client? No. We are going to deploy the code into one more environment called sit environment. We will deploy the code into one more environment called sit environment. SIT stands for system integration testing. Software testers will be available once the developer's testing is completed, the code is working or not. Now, every developer will test only their functionality, whatever the code implemented by that developer, only that functionality they will test. We will have a testing team in our project who are going to test all the functionality of the project. For testers, we are going to give one environment called sit environment. Sit stands for sit environment will be used by sit environment will be used by software testers, will be used by software testing team, will be used by software testing team to test our application functionality. To test our application functionality. SIT stands for system integration testing. SIT stands for system integration testing. Developers will test only their code. Is that when I'm working on login functionality, when the code is deployed to dev environment, what I will do? My login functionality working in the dev environment or not? Whatever the code I have done, is that code working in the dev environment or not? I'm going to check that. Now, who will check the complete functionality of the project? Is that project is working as per the client requirements or not? Who is going to do that check? For that, we will hire testers. For our project, developers will be available and testers also will be available. So for testers, we are going to prepare one environment called the sit environment to test our application. SIT stands for system integration testing. Testers will test the functionality with the client given requirements. Okay. Now, once the testers tested the application, they will find some bugs in the application functionality not working as expected. Then testers will identify the bugs in the project. Testers will identify the bugs in the project and they will report the bugs in the Jira. Then developers are responsible to fix the bugs. Once the bugs are fixed by the developers, again the code will be deployed to dev environment. Once the developer testing is completed, the code will be deployed to sit environment. Sit environment will be used by testers to test the application. Once system integration testing is completed, once the testers testing is completed, then we will deploy the project into one more environment called UAT environment. One more environment called as UAT environment. UAT environment will be used by clients to test the application. Who is our client? That client also will test our application. That means our developers tested, they said okay. Our testers tested, they said okay. Then client has to say okay. Finally, client should satisfy with our project implementation. So clients needs one environment to test our application. That environment is called as UAT environment. Client UAT environment will be used by project client to test the functionality. UAT means user acceptance testing. Whether client will accept our application or not will be decided in the UAT. UAT will done by UAT will done by test. UAT will done by client. UAT will done by client. For testing the application, for clients testing, we will give UAT environment. We will give UAT environment. That means whatever the project we have implemented, that code will be deployed in the UAT environment. That UAT environment URL we will give to the client. Then client will test our application. When the client is tested our application, client will decide that application is working as expected or not. If a client likes our implementation, then we will go for live. Otherwise, we will not go for live. Sometimes in the companies, people will go for pilot environment. Pilot environment is nothing but pre-production. Before going to the production environment, application will be deployed to pilot environment to test the application with real data. Application behavior, clients want to test with the real data. For that real data testing, with the live data testing, clients will use a environment called pilot environment. Application performances, application performance, application security, everything with the real data, they will test by using pilot environment. Once the pilot environment is also successful, finally our application will be deployed to prod environment. Prod environment is nothing but production environment, which is live environment. Public users will access the application which is running in the prod environment, which is running in the prod environment. Right now, whenever we deploy the application to the dev environment, application URL will be available like this: ashokit-dev.in, www.ashokit-dev.in. So whenever the application is deployed to dev environment, application URL will be like this to test that. Okay. When the application is deployed to SIT, application URL will be available like this. Application URL will be available like this. When the application is deployed to UAT, application URL will be available like this. URL will be available like this. When the application deployed to the pilot is called as a pre-production. Before going to the production, application will be deployed to pilot environment. Before going to production, application will be deployed to pilot environment. Now, application will go to live like this. This is production. The actual application that you are accessing is a production environment application. The application which you are accessing is the production environment application. In the real time, we will have multiple environments like this. Guys, so don't think that when the developers implemented the coding, that the code will be pushed to Git repository. From the Git repository, directly code will be delivered to the client. No, no company will do that. No company will do that. No company will do that. Okay. Are you guys clear with me? Now, in the company, multiple environments will be available for testing. In the company, multiple environments will be used for testing purpose. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? So for a project, developers will be available. Every developer will work on some functionality in the project. One developer will work on the services part. One developer will work on the blog part. Now you see, we have added a blog also. We are writing some blogs in the Ashok IT. Okay. Some developers will be working on the blog implementation. Some developers will be working on the training schedules implementation. Some developers will be working on login functionality, registration functionality, forgot password functionality. Like that, multiple functionalities will be available in our application. So development will done by multiple developers. Everybody will be working on some code. Everybody will be working on some code. Okay, right. So developers will do the coding. When the coding is done by the developers are going to test that code. When the coding is done by the developers are going to test that code. Developers are going to test that code. So the testing which is done by the developers is called as unit testing. The testing which is done by the developers is called as unit testing. Unit testing will done by the developer in the same laptop. Wherever he implement the code, in the same laptop, the developer will do the unit testing. Then if the code is working as expected, then developer will push the code to repository. In repository. So every developer is going to push the code to repository. Code is integrated. When multiple developers are pushing the code to same repository, that means integration is already happening. When the code is integrated, some problems may come. Because of the first developer coding, second developer code may not work. Because of the second developer code, third developer code is not working because all are working on the same project. Some dependency will be available. Because of one developer code, another developer code may not work. So that is called code integration problems. How these developers will understand code integration happened successfully or not? So that's why when the coding is completed, that code will be deployed to one environment called dev environment. So dev environment, developers will use the dev environment for integration testing. Every developer will test their functionalities. Every developer will test. Every developer will test. The code is, every developer will test the code which is developed by that developer. Every developer will test the code which is developed by that developer in dev environment. In dev environment. This is called developer integration testing. Developers will use dev environment for integration testing. After code is deployed to the dev environment, every developer will test the code which is developed by the developer in the dev environment. Because after code integration, some problems may come. For that purpose, they are going to use this dev environment. Okay, every developer tested their functionality working successfully. Then that code should be tested by the testers before releasing to the client. That code should be tested by the testers before releasing to the client. For that, we have SIT environment. SIT stands for System Integration Testing. SIT stands for System Integration Testing. System Integration Testing. Okay, so testers are going to see the client given requirement, developers implemented project. So they are going to compare our project functionality with the client requirements. For that purpose, SIT environment will be available. Environment means a platform which is used to test our application, which is used to run our application. Okay, our development team said that, okay, every developer code is working successfully. Then we gave the project to the SIT environment. Testers are going to take the URL of the SIT environment. They will test the application. Every tester will take this URL. They will test the code, which is working as per the client requirements or not. Testers may find some bugs. Then those bugs will be reported to the developers in the Jira software. Developers will fix the bugs and will commit the latest code to the repository. Then again, the latest code will go to dev. In the dev, integration testing will happen. Once the integration testing is completed, then the code will come to SIT environment, system integration testing environment, which will be used by software testers of our project. Dev environment testing is completed. All the developers confirmed that every developer code is working. Then we have pushed the code from the Git repository to SIT environment. So once the project is deployed in the SIT environment, there is one URL for the SIT environment application. This URL we will give to software testing team. They are going to test the functionality of the project in the SIT environment. Very good. Whenever the SIT testing is happening, they will find the bugs and they will give to the developers. Developers are responsible to fix those bugs. Once it is done, then we are going to give the project to the client for testing by deploying into UAT environment. UAT environment. UAT stands for user acceptance testing. That means clients are going to test our application before production deployment. We need to deliver the project to the client. The delivery of the project will happen in the prod environment. Sir, directly, are we going to deploy the project from the Git repository to the prod environment? Directly, can we deploy the project into prod environment? No, we will never deploy the project into prod environment directly. First, the project will be deployed to developers will test it. Then the project will be deployed to SIT environment. Software testers will test it. Once software testers confirm that project is working, all the functionalities are working as expected, we need the confirmation from the client also. For that, we will deploy the project in the UAT environment. Clients are going to test our application is working as expected or not from the UAT environment. Now, here, client will decide go or no go. No go means application is not working as per client expectation. That they will decide in the UAT testing. Client side testing team will be available, guys. This is SIT team is our company testing team. Developers are our company developers. Testers are our company developers. But UAT will done by client. Client will take one team to test our application. Now, when I was working in the Deloitte company, guys, I have worked on the Deloitte company for 4 years. In the Deloitte company, we have done the development and SIT. For the Deloitte company, the competitor is a KPMG. These companies are big 4 companies in the auditing, guys. Now, what our client has done, to get the proper quality of the project, client gave the project development and testing to the Deloitte. I am from the Deloitte development. I'm a Deloitte developer. We have done the development of the project. In my company, we have SIT team also. They have done the testing. But UAT done by KPMG company. Client has given the contract for the KPMG company to do the UAT. Every day fighting will happen between the Deloitte team and KPMG team because both companies are competitors. Every small issue they will identify as a bug. Deloitte developers will say that that is not in the requirements. Like that, when we want to get the quality for our project, clients will give the UAT testing for a other company. So for my project, the UAT done by KPMG company, client has given the UAT testing to another company, development to the Deloitte company. It depends upon client, guys. It depends upon the client. Sometimes client will recruit a separate testing. Come on, guys. So client may set up a separated team, or client may give a contract to another company to do the testing. That is called UAT. UAT. Most of the times UAT will done by other companies only. Most of the time UAT will done by other companies only because clients want the quality. Are you guys able to understand? In the UAT, client will decide go or no go. Go means go for the production, green signal. No go means red signal. Project doesn't have the quality. I don't want to go for the production. If it is no go, that means project development and testing not happened properly. If it is a go, means client is satisfied with our project implementation and our project testing. Are you guys able to understand this? Are you guys able to understand this? What is go and what is no go? Are you able to understand what is go and what is no go? Go means green signal for the production deployment. No go means red signal for the production deployment. Go live. Go means go live. That means deploy the project to the production so that public can access our functionality. No go means there are some issues in the project. Client not satisfied with our implementation. Go and no go will be decided by the client after UAT testing. UAT stands for user acceptance testing. In UAT, after UAT testing, after UAT testing, after UAT testing, client will decide go or no go. Go or no go. Go means go for production deployment. Go for production deployment. No go means production deployment cancelled. No go means production deployment cancelled. Cancelled. When the issues are identified in the UAT, clients will say no go. When client identify some bugs, some critical bugs in the UAT, when client identifies some critical bugs in UAT, then they will say no go. Then they will say no go. If it is a no go, we don't get money from the client. Our total work is wasted. Whenever we deploy the project to the live environment, then only client will pay the money. Whenever we deploy the project to the live environment, then only client will pay the money for the company. From 3 months, we are working on the development testing. In the UAT, client identified some critical bugs, some functionality not working as expected by the client. When issues identified in the UAT, that means project quality is not good. When the project quality is not good, client will say no go. That means no for production. If it is no for production, client will not give money for the company. So total 3 months of waste. So that's why developers should focus on the quality development. Testers should focus on the quality testing. Our developers and testers should work collaboratively to do the quality project to the UAT. If a client identify the bug in the UAT, that means your development and testing is wasted. No go. No go means quality is not there. If quality is not there, client will not accept the project. If client is not accepting the project, client will not give the money for the company, then company will not give the salary for you. Are you able to understand? Everything is linked. So that's why development and testing should happen properly. Then only we can give the quality project to the client. Client will test it in the UAT. UAT doing by the client or UAT doing by other company testing team? Client decide that. Some clients will recruit the testers to do the testing. Some clients will give the contract for other company for doing the UAT. When they give for other company, lot of competition will be available. Because Deloitte has done the development, KPMG doing the testing. KPMG, Deloitte companies are competitors in the big 4 companies in the market. If KPMG identify more issues, KPMG will become famous in front of client. KPMG will try to identify so many issues. If the quality is not there, Deloitte company has done the wrong development. KPMG will become highlight from the client. So that's the reason both companies should be concentrate on the quality. Deloitte should do the quality development, quality testing. So once we do the development properly, testers should not be able to identify the single issue also in the UAT. Then only we will get the green signal for the production. Always we need to try to get the green signal for the production with the quality development. That is most important. That is most important. Samjha. Samjha, what is most important, guys? Quality development is most important for us. UAT environment will be used by whom? Our company people will use the UAT, our client will use the UAT. Client will use the UAT. Client may give to their own testers, or client may give to different company. That we no need to ask. Client will ask the UAT team to do the testing. Then in the UAT, if we get the bugs, then the production deployment will be cancelled. Once it is go for the production, then the before going to deploy in the direct prod, people will deploy the project into pilot environment. Pilot environment is nothing but pre-production. That means before going for the production, they will deploy the code into pilot to test the performance of the application, to test the application with real data. Okay. Now, so once the pilot environment is completed, finally the project will be deployed to prod environment. Finally, the project will be deployed to prod environment. Prod environment is nothing but live environment. Now you are accessing ashokitech.com. That means this is a production URL of the application. We are accessing facebook.com. That means that is the production URL of the Facebook. So directly the code done by the developers came to the production. Directly the code which is done by the developers coming to production from the Git repository, directly are we deploying in the production? No. Before coming to the production, the project will be deployed to multiple environments for testing. Why these many environments are used for testing? For quality. Once the code is deployed to the production, we should not get a single problem also. That is the reason multiple environments will be used in the companies for the project testing. What environments will be available? Dev environment will be available, sit environment will be available, UAT environment will be available, pilot environment will be available, prod environment will be available. Dev, sit, UAT, pilot, and prod. Guys, look at this diagram. Pilot environment is used for real data testing. They want to test the application with the live data. For that, they will go for pilot environment. Guys, are you able to understand what is dev, what is sit, what is UAT, what is pilot, what is prod? Yes. Now, why I'm explaining this is, as a DevOps engineer, you are responsible to set up these environments for the project deployments. As a DevOps engineer, you are responsible to set up the deployments for these. You have to prepare these environments and you have to deploy the code into these environments, guys. You are responsible to do environment setup and application deployment to these environments. Okay. Now, generally, develop branch code will be deployed to dev environment. Okay. SIT branch code will be deployed to sit environment. UAT branch code will be deployed to UAT environment. Release branch code will be deployed to pilot environment as well as prod environment. So multiple branches also available for our project. Which branch code will be deployed to which environment? Development is done in the develop branch. All the some developers will create the future branches also. They will create a feature branch code they will merge into develop branch. Now the code which is available in the developer branch will be deployed to dev environment, where developers are going to do the testing. Developers are going to do the testing in the dev environment. Okay. Now, once the dev environment is completed, the code which is available in the develop branch, the code will be merged from the develop branch to sit branch merging. One branch code will be merged to another branch. Development branch code will be merged to sit branch. From the sit environment, from the sit branch, the code will be deployed to sit environment. Once the sit is completed, sit branch code will be merged to UAT branch. Sit code will be merged to UAT. UAT code will be deployed to UAT environment. UAT branch code will be deployed to UAT environment. Then when we want to do the production deployment, we are going to use the release branch in the Git repository. Release branch is nothing but the final branch. So developers will not have the access to commit the code to release branch directly. Release branch will be locked always. Release branch code commits will not accept. Release branch is locked. It is a secured. It is a secured branch. Developers cannot commit the code to the release branches directly. Release branch will be locked. They cannot commit the code to the release branch directly. Got my point, guys? Got my point? Main branch, develop branch, feature branch, sit branch, UAT branch, release branch will be available. Developers will be working on these branches based on the requirement. Ongoing development will happen in the develop branch. When the bug fixing is happening, that code will be committed to sit branch. Develop branch code will be deployed to dev environment, where the developers will use this environment for integration testing. Once the developers testing completed, that code will be deployed to sit environment from the sit branch. So here, from one branch to another branch, merging will happen. Then code will be available in the sit branch will be deployed to sit environment. sit stands for system integration testing, that is used by the testers to test our application. Once the clients, once that sit is successful, once the sit is successful, then that code will be given to UAT, where clients are going to do the testing. That is called user acceptance testing. For that, separate environment will be available. Now, in the UAT, if more number of bugs are identified, then it is a no-go. Production deployment is going to cancel. That is a bad impression on the developers and testers, right? So once the UAT is successful, then client will say go for the production. Then before going to the production, the project will be deployed to the pilot environment. Pilot environment is just for environmental testing with real live data. Okay. Then once the pilot is also success, some companies will use pilot, some companies will not use pilot. My company is using pilot environment also. In my project, we have the pilot also. With the live data, we are going to test it. Okay. Now, once the pilot is completed, then we will go for prod. Prod is nothing but live environment. The final application will be deployed in the prod environment. That is clients, people, public users will access the application which is running in the prod environment. Now tell me, who is responsible to set up the environments and who is responsible to deploy the environments, deploy the code into environments? Developers are going to do the deployments, or DevOps people are responsible to do these deployments? Who is responsible to do these deployments, guys? Developers are responsible, or DevOps people are responsible? Who is going to create the environments? Developers are going to create the environments, or DevOps people are going to create the environments? Developers are going to create the environments, or DevOps engineers are going to create the environments? Who will create the environments? Who is going to create the environments? DevOps engineers are going to create the environments. DevOps engineers are going to create the environments. Who is going to do the deployments? DevOps engineers only going to do the deployments. Developers will be involved till the code is committed to repository and till the dev environment is completed. From here, everything should be taken care by DevOps engineers only. Developers will be available up to dev environment only. That's it. Developers will understand the client requirements. Developers will do the coding. Developers will do the unit testing in the local system. Once unit testing is completed, developers are going to deploy the code. Developers are going to push the code to repository. Once the code is pushed to repository, it is the duty of the DevOps engineers to do the deployments into environments. So for every project, multiple environments will be available. DevOps engineer is responsible to create the environment. What is the meaning of environment? Taking a virtual machine, installing a server, deploying the application. That is called environment setup. You need to set up the infrastructure. Environment, nothing but a platform which is used to run our application. So in order to run our application, we need Java software, we need web server, okay, we need the database. Whatever the infrastructure that is required to run our project, we need to configure. That is called environment setup. DevOps engineers are responsible to do this environment setup for our application. In the real time, every application will have multiple environments. Are you guys clear with this one? Now, what is the last environment that we use for our application? Production environment. Production environment is nothing but final environment where people are going to access our application. People are going to access our application from pilot environment. Okay, project is deployed in the production. There is some bug in the production, some functionality not working in the production. Then developer will fix that bug. Immediately that code will be deployed to production. When there is some change in the code, when developer modifies some code, directly will you deploy the modified code into production? Come on, guys. We have done the production deployment. Code is running in the production. Public people are using our application. There is some problem, some functionality not working in the project. Then developers are going to identify the fix. Developers will do the fix for that. Developers will commit the code to the repository. When the bug is fixed in the code is pushed to repository. Is that code is going to deploy into the production directly? Is that code is going to deploy to the production directly? No. Whenever the code is modified, first that code should be deployed into dev environment. Developer should test it, the code is working as expected or not. Once the developer testing is completed, that code should be deployed to sit environment. Tester also should test that code is working as expected or not. Once the SIT got completed, then we should deploy the code into UAT. Client also should test that fix is working as expected or not. Then it will go to pilot. Then finally it will go to prod. Then finally it will go to production. This is the order we need to follow for the project deployments. This is the order we need to follow for the project's deployment. Are you guys able to understand my point? Are you guys able to understand my point now? Are you guys able to understand my point now? Very good. Very good. Okay. Now, guys, tell me, in the real time, are we going to do these deployments manually? Or we need one software to do these deployments? Are you going to do these deployments manually? Or we need one software to automate these deployments? Daily, so many developers are modifying the code. Are you going to do these deployments manually? No, that's where we are going to use one software to do the deployments automation. That software is called as Jenkins. What is the software we are going to use to do these deployments into multiple environments, guys? That software is called as Jenkins. What is Jenkins? Jenkins is a deployment automation software. What is Jenkins, guys? Jenkins is a deployments automation software. In the Jenkins, we are going to create multiple jobs. There will be a dev job. There will be a sit job. Sit job. There will be UAT job. There will be pilot job, and there will be prod job. So in the job, nothing but some action. Job, nothing but some action. For every environment, we are going to create one job in the Jenkins. Now, dev job is responsible to take the code from the develop branch and deploy to dev environment. Similarly, sit job is responsible to take the code from the sit branch and deploy to sit environment. UAT will take the code from UAT branch and will deploy to UAT environment, pilot and prod. Okay. In the Jenkins, we are going to create the job. Job means set of actions to automate the deployment. In the Jenkins, dev job is responsible to do the project deployment into dev environment. In the Jenkins, dev job is responsible to deploy the project into dev environment. Sit job is responsible to deploy the project into sit environment. UAT job is responsible to do the deployment into UAT environment. Pilot job is responsible to do the deployment into pilot environment. So Jenkins is a CI/CD software which is used to automate our project's deployment. Pilot job will be available. Prod job is available. Prod job is going to take the code from release branch. Prod job is going to take the code from release branch and will deploy that into release branch, into production branch. Okay. Now, guys, this strategy will be given by your managers. Which branch code should be deployed to which environment, that mapping will be available. So here, develop branch code should be taken to do the deployment in the dev environment. Okay, guys. So here in the Git repository, multiple branches are available. Our application is having multiple environments. Our application is having multiple environments, and our Git repository is having multiple branches. Which branch code we need to take to deploy in the which environment? Based on that requirement, you will get a requirement. So for the DevOps team, the project architectures, the project management people will give the requirement. Hey, DevOps, they will conduct a meeting with the DevOps team. When the project development is going to start, they will set up the meeting and they will explain you. In our project Git repository, these are the branches will be available. Developers will write the code and they will commit into develop branch. From the develop branch, we need to deploy the code into dev environment. For that, we need to create a job in the Jenkins. What this Jenkins dev job will do? Jenkins dev job should clone the code from the develop branch, should compile that code, should package that code, should deploy that war file into dev environment server. Dev environment means what? A platform which is used to run our application. When the code is deployed to dev environment, that application URL will be available like this: ashokit-dev.in. Then the people, developers will use this URL to test the application which is running in the dev environment. Once the developer testing is completed, that code will be pushed to, the code will be merged from the developer branch to sit branch. From the sit branch, code will be taken by sit job. Sit job is going to deploy the code into sit environment. Sit environment will be used by the testers to test the application functionality. Testers will use that. Now, once the sit is successful, the code will be pushed, the code will be merged to the UAT branch. UAT branch code will be deployed to UAT environment by UAT job. UAT job will be created in the Jenkins. That Jenkins job will take the code from the UAT and will deploy to UAT environment. Sometimes the code will be taken from the release branch to the pilot environment. Pilot job. Release branch code will be taken by the pilot job. Pilot job will do the deployment to pilot environment. Pilot environment is nothing but a pre-prod environment. Pilot environment is nothing but pre-prod environment. Once the pilot testing is completed, then we will execute the prod job. Prod job is responsible to take the code from the release branch and will deploy into prod environment. Do you know how to clone the particular branch code from the Git repository? Do you know how to clone the particular branch code from the Git repository? Come on, guys. Do you know how to clone particular branch code from the Git repository? Git clone -b branch name. So what the dev job will do? What the dev job will do, guys? What is the duty of the dev job in the Jenkins now? Dev job should clone the code from the developer branch and should deploy into dev environment. What is the duty of the sit job in the Jenkins? What is the duty of the sit job in the Jenkins? Sit job should take the code from the sit environment and deploy into sit job will take the code from the sit branch and deploy into sit branch. Sit branch nothing but system integration testing. What is the duty of the UAT job? What is the duty of the UAT job? UAT stands for user acceptance testing. Clients will use that environment to test our application. UAT branch will take the UAT job, will clone the UAT branch code and will deploy into UAT environment. What is the pilot branch job? Pilot job is responsible to take the code from the release branch and deploy into pilot environment. What is the duty of the prod job? Prod job is going to take the code from the Git release branch and will deploy into prod environment. Who will tell that branch mapping and who will tell the branch and environment mapping? Are you going to decide the branch and environment mapping? Which branch code should be deployed to which environment? Are you going to decide that? Or your project management will decide that? Your project management will decide that how many branches should be there in the repository and how many environments should be there for our project. And branch environment mapping is very important. Which branch code should be deployed to which environment, that is also very important. Can you deploy develop branch code to production environment? Can we do that? Develop branch code to prod environment? No. Which branch code will be deployed to prod environment? Only release branch code will be deployed to prod environment. Release branch is nothing but gold branch. That is the final project code will go to the production. Release branch will be available. Develop branch means all the developers will write the code there. That code will go to only dev. Once the dev testing is completed, it will go to sit. Once the sit completed, it will go to UAT. Once UAT completed, then it will go to pre-prod, that is pilot. Once the pre-prod completed, then finally it will go to prod. Now, as a DevOps engineer, what is your responsibility here? As a DevOps engineer, you are responsible to set up these environments for our project. As a DevOps engineer, you are responsible to create the jobs in the Jenkins to do the deployments. As a DevOps engineer, you are not going to do this coding. You are going to involve. As a DevOps engineer, you are going to involve in the Git repository tasks, repository creation, branch merging, pull request. You will use the Jenkins software to create the jobs. You will involve in the creating branches. Git repos, you need to know how to work with repository. You need to know how to work with the Jenkins. You need to know how to create the environments. You need to know how to create the jobs. You need to know how to deploy the code into environment by using the Jenkins jobs. All these three activities you have to perform in the project as a DevOps engineer. Development plus operations. You are doing the development as a DevOps engineer, or you are doing operations as a DevOps engineer. You are doing operations as a DevOps engineer. Development will done by developers. Development plus operations, that is called DevOps. Are you guys clear with my point? What is the environment? What is the Jenkins? Environment is nothing but a platform which is used to run our application. Environment is nothing but a platform which is used to run our application. Who is responsible to set up the environments? In our project, who is responsible to set up the environments? Developers or DevOps engineers? DevOps engineers are responsible to set up the environments for our project. Who is going to how the project will be deployed to environment? Nowadays manually project deployment is happening, or project deployment is automated. Manually projects are getting deployed, or project deployments are getting automated. Project deployments are getting automated. Which is software we are using to do the deployment automation? Which is software we are using to do the deployment automation? We are using Jenkins. Jenkins. What we will do in the Jenkins? What we will do in the Jenkins now? Jobs we are going to create. What is a job? Jenkins job is nothing but a set of actions. Jenkins job nothing but set of actions. What I will tell to Jenkins job? Hey Jenkins dev job. I will create a dev job in the Jenkins, and I will tell to the Jenkins dev job, go and clone the Git repository develop branch. Once you cloned that branch, then you compile that by using Maven. Then you package that by using Maven. You review the code by using Sonar. Then finally you do the deployment of that code into dev environment. Take the code from the Git repository, compile that code, package that code, review that code, and deploy into dev environment. That is the duty of the dev job. Then what is the duty of the sit job? What is the duty of the sit job in the Jenkins? What is the duty of sit job in the Jenkins? Sit job should take the code from the sit branch, compile that code, test that code, package that code, and deploy into sit environment. Same thing will done by UAT, pilot, and prod jobs also. So here, as a DevOps engineer, we need to create the jobs in the Jenkins to automate the deployments of our application into application environments. So in the real time, application will have one environment. Application will have multiple environments in the real time. Application will have multiple environments in the real time. Now, Jenkins is responsible to do build and deployment. Build means compile the project and package the project. Jenkins is doing the build, or Jenkins is using the Maven to do the build. Jenkins is doing the build, or Jenkins is using Maven to do the build. Which is the build tool? Maven is the build tool. Then what is the Jenkins? Jenkins is a deployment tool. Build plus deployment. Build will done by Maven. Build means package, compile, package. That is called build process. Package the project as a WAR file. Then Jenkins is going to take the WAR file from the Maven, will deploy into server. That's it. That is called build plus deployment. So now, as a DevOps engineer, do you know how to work with Maven? How to do the Maven build? Maven compile, Maven clean, Maven package. Do you know how to work with Maven? We know what is Maven. We know how to create Maven project folder structure, Maven goals execution. All those things we know. Do you know how to work with the Git repository? Do you know how to work with the Git repository? Come on, guys. Do you know how to work with Git repository or not? We know how to work with Git repository also. We know how to work with Git repository also. Okay. Now, what is the next step we need to know? What is the next step that we need to know? We need to know how to set up the environment. We need to know how to set up the environment and how to create the jobs in the Jenkins. So now we know how to create a Maven project. We know how to package Maven project. We know how to create repository. We know how to create the branches. We know how to merge the code from one branch to another branch. We know how to clone the branch and everything. Now we need to know how to set up the environment for our project, and how to create the how to set up the Jenkins, how to set up the Jenkins jobs, and how to execute the Jenkins jobs, that we have to understand. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point now? Now, are you getting the full picture? What is the DevOps? Developers are going to do the development. The development code will be pushed to repository. As a DevOps engineer, we need to take the code from the repository and we need to deploy into environments. In the repository, we have the branches. Multiple environments are available. To do the deployments, automation, we are going to use one software called Jenkins software. In the Jenkins software, we are going to create the jobs to perform the deployment activity. As we have multiple environments, for every environment, one Jenkins job will be created. As we have multiple environments, for every environment, one Jenkins job will be created. When you run this job will take the code from the developer branch, will deploy into dev environment. When you run the prod job, we should take the code from the release branch, should deploy into prod environment. So branch to environment mapping we have to do. Based on that, we are going to create the jobs. Those jobs are going to do the deployment to a particular environment. Platform environment creation required and job creation required, job execution. When you execute the job, that will perform the build and deployment action. Are you clear? Are you clear with this? Very good. So tomorrow I'm going to tell you how to set up the environment to deploy our application. Once our environment is ready, then come on guys. A server which is used to run our application. A platform that is required to run our application is called as environment. So first we need to, already our Jenkins, already our GitHub projects are ready. Now we need to set up environment creation, nothing but infrastructure setup. Environment setup is nothing but infrastructure setup. First we need to do the infrastructure setup. Then we need to set up the Jenkins. Then we will create the jobs. So tomorrow I will tell you how to set up the infrastructure. Is this clear? Fine, guys. Thank you. So with this, I'm stopping for today. We will continue in the